We all know the importance of self-care, but most of us probably also know that it is not always as easy as it sounds. Sometimes we just get busy, or life gets in the way, or we're just not in the mood to make sure that we drink enough water, get enough exercise, or get enough sleep. Self-care has become more and more popular, which mostly is a good thing, I think. But the possible downside of that is that self-care can quickly become yet another project that we have to do in our life. And it becomes easy to get frustrated or beat yourself up when you haven't made time for these things lately. But I've learned a lot about self-care over the last couple of years, and frankly, it's not always what I thought it would be. And self-care to me now looks quite different from, let's say, 5 years ago. And so in today's video, I want to share with you my self-care secrets that I think you should know so that you can start letting go of these expectations and these worries around what you think you should do and start practicing real self-care that can actually serve you and that fits you and your life. Hi everyone, welcome back, and if you're new here, my name is Vera and this is a place where you can get tips and inspiration for living a simpler, happier and calmer life. So be sure to hit subscribe if you haven't already so you can follow along whenever I post a new video. And this video has a sponsor, which is IKKYU Tea, more on them later. And before we begin, comment down below how you currently feel about your self-care practice, because I'm interested to know, would you like to do it more? Do you think you do it enough? Let me know. Secret number 1. Only focusing on the long-term benefits will not always motivate you. Self-care comes in a lot of varieties, but basically I think there are two main kinds. Self-care that feels good in the moment, and self-care that mostly has long-term benefits. So self-care that feels good in the moment is, for example, taking a nap, taking a bubble bath, using a face mask, having a nice cup of tea with a cookie or something, or just even taking a break from work and doing something fun. These things are somewhat easier to do because they feel nice when you do them and they are instant rewards. And while it can be nice to do them every once in a while, their effect usually is short-lived as well. Then there's the self-care activities that help you to really take good care of your mental and physical health. Exercise, drinking enough water, eating healthy most of the time, getting enough sleep, journaling, meditating, going out in nature, connecting with people you love. These are the things that when we do them consistently will have a huge impact on your health. However, these are also activities that don't always feel good in the moment itself. So we might just not feel like it, or it's hard to make time for them regularly. And because their benefits are more long-term, it's harder to turn them into a consistent habit. We are not so great at focusing on the long term, so motivation and discipline will only get you so far. So instead of focusing on the long-term benefits of these healthy habits like exercise, try focusing more on the short-term benefits. Really think about the impact that this thing has on you right then and there. So for example, if I get some movement in, my body will feel stronger and I will feel less stressed. Or when I eat a healthy meal, I feel inspired and my body feels like it has more energy. If you find that a certain healthy habit is difficult for you to turn into a consistent habit, then make a list of all the things that you experience, all the upsides of doing that thing regularly, as well as all the downsides when you don't do that thing enough, and try to get specific. Self-care for you does not have to look like self-care for others. Different things work for different people, and self-care doesn't have to look pretty. In fact, in my case, it usually doesn't. And I think we have this glamorized idea of what self-care should look like based on what is portrayed on social media, and that might not always be realistic for everyone. Some people might feel really awesome after going to the gym and doing this really crazy workout, and that might make you feel like that is something that you should do too. But no, the first word in self-care is self, so personalize it. For example, when I look at certain health and fitness channels on YouTube and I see their morning routine, it just does not resonate with me. I am not the type of person to wake up, do all of these exercises and then have a protein smoothie. Working out on an empty stomach and then only having a smoothie afterwards, that is so confusing to me. I grew up here in the Netherlands and I am used to having like a solid, hearty breakfast before we do anything else, and if I only had a smoothie, I would be hungry again in an hour. So really, don't be afraid to personalize your self-care, and you don't have to force yourself into these morning routines or evening routines if they don't work for you. And also, don't worry if it doesn't look that pretty. In my case, it usually doesn't, and it doesn't have to. It's for you. So don't look at others and then feel bad because that's not something that you can do. Just focus on what you can do and find those little windows of opportunity to do something that makes a difference for you right then in the moment. Self-care works best when you feel like you don't need it. You might know about me that I had a really severe burnout a couple of years ago, and one of the biggest lessons that I learned from that experience was that self-care works best when it's preventative. So don't wait until you feel completely exhausted and drained to start taking care of yourself, because it works best if you do it in little tiny ways so that you won't get to that stage of feeling completely exhausted. When I'm on survival mode or in the midst of a crisis, which still happens occasionally, self-care is usually one of the first things that I sacrifice, and that's actually when I need to do these things the most. I stop doing yoga, I stop meditating, I stay indoors for days in a row when I know I need to be outside, getting some fresh air. I stop taking my reading breaks of 30 minutes on the couch with some lo-fi music and a cup of tea, when I know how badly I need that 30 minutes of me time to feel sane and grounded. And the more you get in that slump, the harder it is to break out of that. But when you practice self-care preventatively, you break that cycle of working really hard, crashing, resting, feeling a little better, working really hard. So instead, if you do it here and there, you will keep your battery levels more consistent. We have a lot more, but let's do a quick break in the video to thank today's sponsor, which is IKKYU Tea. One of my favorite activities for self-care, as you may know, is taking a 15-minute tea break during my workday. No screens, no distractions, just really enjoying my tea break. And as you may know, I am a big fan of Japanese green tea, and so I'm so excited to be working with them again and to share their products with you, because honestly, their green teas are the best I've ever tasted, like no competition. IKKYU offers a wide variety of Japanese green tea that come from dedicated tea farmers from southern Japan. The quality of these teas is incredibly high. You can really tell they put so much love and care into them, and it's just a completely different experience than the green tea that I have been able to find here. They sent me a bunch of different ones to try, like sencha, matcha, and a few others, so I had a little party trying all of them. And I also find that drinking green tea like this, it gives me that nice boost of concentration and energy and focus, and that happy feeling that you get from the amino acids that are in the green tea, but still in a very gentle and relaxing way, and I actually prefer it over drinking coffee. I love that you can find all kinds of information about the teas on their website, like where it is produced, the flavor profile, and how to prepare them. So you can definitely find a green tea that you would like. I would recommend trying the Mitsumi, which is easily my favorite sencha that I have ever tried. It has lots of fragrance, lots of umami and antioxidants, but still very gentle to drink, very little bitterness. And the Mizuho, which is a blend of premium organic sencha and matcha. It has a beautiful emerald green color, and the taste is really nice and refreshing. So as you can see, I cannot say enough nice things about their products. And if you want to try some Japanese green tea for yourself, or maybe you are looking for a thoughtful gift for someone else, maybe for the holidays that are coming up, you can click my link in the description box and use code SIMPLEZEN to get 15% off. Self-compassion and forgiveness. If you take away only one thing from this video, then please let it be this one. I think that in the self-care space, so much of it is still focused on action, on discipline even, on being productive with self-care. So if we're not careful, self-care can become yet another thing on our plate and yet another thing to do well in life. And when it gets like that, it loses so much of its essence and its core value. And it's easy to feel down on yourself when you're not doing enough, when you're not exercising enough, when you haven't been eating that healthily, or when you haven't been making time for yourself. Self-care means caring for yourself physically and mentally, yes, absolutely, But I also think that a neglected part of self-care is caring for yourself emotionally. And I think a crucial part of that is self-compassion and forgiveness. Life is hard, and there's so much going on in today's world that frankly, it gets to be too much for me sometimes as well. And there are moments when you might feel like doing absolutely nothing at all. If you have one of those weeks or months when basically all you can do is do the absolute minimum on your to-do list just to get by, and you're a complete couch potato for the rest of the time, that is absolutely fine. Be kind to yourself. Life goes with ups and downs. Your self-care practice will go with ups and downs. That is perfectly okay. We all have those phases, and you are awesome for trying, so keep that in mind. Just take a step back, get back to yourself, forgive yourself 100% and let go, and give yourself a pat on the shoulder for everything that you do, because you do a lot and it's okay if you don't do it all the time. And from that place of acceptance and forgiveness, you can slowly start to see what it is that you would need to feel a little bit better and start doing these self-care things without huge goals and without these expectations, to just see how they feel and how they work for you. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. I have this thing where I take something small and I turn it into this huge project. And I actually see a lot of other people do this as well. And we tend to think about self-care in these big ideas. And it can quickly become really daunting, and we think, I don't have time for that, so we just put it off. Especially when we're really busy or when we feel overwhelmed with our schedule, we think, I don't have time to do yoga every day for an hour or to make healthy lunch for everyone every day. But in reality, our habits are often formed by the little tiny things that we do consistently on a daily basis. And every one of these little tiny things help. So it doesn't have to be all or nothing with self-care. Working out once a week for 20 minutes is better than never working out at all. Or focusing on just having a bit more veggies with dinner is better than doing nothing at all. I think this is really common with creating alone time. So instead of thinking you don't have time for that, can you just find 5 minutes to be by yourself once a day, to close your eyes and breathe, for example, just 5 minutes. I think we can all shave off 5 minutes of scrolling on our phone time. So see if you can find little windows of time like that. Even if you feel like you don't have a place where you can be by yourself, go sit on the toilet. When I was working in an office environment, it was really busy, I would take those little times of going to the bathroom or getting myself a cup of tea to just be with myself and cool down for a minute. One of my favorite quotes applies here as well, and it is, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Thank you so much for sticking around all the way to the end of the video. I appreciate it. And if you want to help me out, then you can do that by giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Don't forget to check out IKKYU Tea, link and 15% discount code in the description box. And click here for tiny things you can do to simplify your life. Click here for some slow living tips for busy people. As always, questions, comments, conversations down below. Have a lovely day, and I will see you again soon. Bye bye.